going to make a video of this COVID. I know it's way past COVID, but it says here, admin COVID-19 antigen test at home. They give these free at the library. Got a couple of them, set one on the shelf. Had this for a couple weeks, so I figured I'd go and make a video of it. Just precautionary, just to have these tests done. So obviously, I think the COVID epidemic is over with. It's been a while, but it's here. So these are filled with some sort of liquid that you wipe your nostrils, I guess, and it tests the bacteria, and they can test it that way. And these little cup holders, and your biohazard is little black bags, and the Q-tips. And these are the actual, I guess, test. So according to this, take this top off. This is 5 times into the nostril. About 15 seconds. Booger in there. Make sure you get that liquid. Looks pretty moist. It says in here, make sure the Q-tip. For at least 15 seconds, swipe around so the bacteria gets in the liquid, squeeze it, swab, trip for at least 5 times from outside, just remains liquid, okay? So it says squeeze here in the bottom, make sure, right, because of the liquid, bacteria, germs. Liquid. cap on there. So, right, it's a little murky, right? So, and this is the indicator. It says, put this, drop 3 drops the solution to the circular sample label as S on the test. So, on here, then I have to wait 10 minutes. You can see this. So it says 1, 2, 3. I put 3 drops. It absorbs. So right now it's already indicated. It says wait 10 minutes. So we're going to put that to the side and let wait 10 minutes. And we're at almost 7 minutes into the video. This disposable. Alright, so now we're going to do another test. Same thing. This, got a little sample tester device. And remove. Got a Q-tip. And same thing like the other test. I'm going to do 5 swipes, 15 seconds on the other nostril. Enough. Insert it into here, the liquid. Make sure it mixes in with the special fluid. Make sure I squeeze. I don't know what I can't remember my science medical stuff, but whatever special chromosomes are in there. Okay, looks pretty murky. Squeeze out the remaining fluid. The cap. As you can see. So, it's just 3 drops. 1, 2, 3. See that? So, did 3 drops on this one. Wait 10 minutes on this one. Set that to the side. Now, since I just got done doing the other one, so that's at 11 minutes. The first one was at 7 minutes, now this one's at 11, so once we're at about 23, should be good. Let's see what this says. It says here positive. It says if I have a positive result, it says you do not need to perform a repeated test if you have a positive result at any time. But it's good to have just a secondary, right? Apparently these tests are really thorough, or very clear. So it says a positive result means you have virus of COVID-19 is detected. So we're looking for, it says if the C line, this is the first one I took, it says here, it says if the control C line and the test line are visible, the test is positive. Any faint red or positive on the line control should be read as positive. This is if the control C line and the test T line are visible, the test is positive. So 2 lines means positive, and it says any faint visible red or purple on the other one with control C line should be read as positive. So as long as there's 2 lines, then that's positive. 1 line means negative, but obviously it's our indicating, but they say 10 minutes, right? This is the other one. Only seems to be one line. So right now 1 line means negative, 2 lines means positive. If the C line is visible but the test T line is not visible, the test is negative. So 1 line is all we're looking for. So there you have it. We're going to wait a few minutes and then put that on camera. I'm taking the COVID test. Anyway, so just going to make a video. I went to the library, saw them with free handouts. It's been years, but it's always good. I'm living in a highly bacteria area. I'm just really kind of concerned at the whole fact that not only I'm hearing rats or a raccoon. You know what is weird? I think is one of the neighbors I saw petting an iguana, and I know a friend of mine used to have a couple of iguanas growing up. And they had a big sanctuary, like waterfalls, and it was all tropical. And believe it or not, I know it was kind of a hint idea, but I thought it kind of sounds like a lizard. It kind of sounded like a lizard to me, an iguana. And I thought to myself, I was like, I know iguanas, the temperatures have to be very controlled because they'll die. And the reason is I can hear almost like a long tail and some claws, heavy claws that are dragging, and it's way bigger than a mice. It sounds very big, like the size of an iguana. But I know that I know that the iguanas have to have a very, they have to live in very good habitats, controlled temperature habitats. They just can't survive anywhere. Like, they die pretty easy. And one of the reasons I know that as well is, I don't know how many different type of iguanas there is out there, and I'm thinking of the basic ones they sell at markets and pet stores. I know when I was in Mexico, I saw like these iguanas, but they were like giant iguanas. They were like twice the size of the ones I remember growing up, and they were real big. And I remember seeing them several in pits, a lot of them. But anyway, I thought I would make a video on this while I'm taking this COVID test. The thing that makes me nervous about the circumstances is I've heard a lot of stories about ventilations in places like this that are very old, that when you have dust and bacteria, specifically like this old house, and there's like water leakage all over the place. I mean, if you look all over the place, this looks like an infestation of a lot of bacteria and mold that can develop. A lot of mold. The place looks, even upstairs, looks very poorly maintained with hygiene. And I've heard a lot of stories where people get diseases and die, and that kind of makes me nervous about what bacteria or molds have been building up in this, and they're having me live here. So I do know this is the bottom of the basement, and it was filthy when I got here, and I tried mopping the floors, and I still have some more sweeping to do, that I eventually I did the more of the major stuff to get rid of, but gradually, little by little, clean up more. But I noticed that in some of the areas, like the kitchen next door, it's a rinky-dinky kitchen, not really a kitchen, it's just I know the other roommate has food in there, and it has a sink and a electric cord, portable, stovetop, little mini stovetop. And I was thinking that of this, that I was going through the same areas where I cleaned very well, and I saw fresh mice droppings. Shit droppings, mice droppings. Could have been rats, but it looked like mice droppings. And I do know this also: mice droppings, I know that people can get diseases from, and I know that because I've heard of stories. Can't remember if it was meningitis or what disease it was, but there's something that mice have that is particular in mice, that it travels and from disease from location to location, and mice droppings is one of the ways that you can get sick and catch like a meningitis, a disease, or I don't know if it's a staph infection. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it looked like fresh mice droppings, and I thought, I was like, there really isn't too many in the area where I saw it. Didn't look like fresh rat droppings. It didn't look like a mice would be crawling in there, because usually they would be hiding, going to a different location. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of the ordeal right now. So we're almost at 20 minutes. So first one was at 7 minutes, so 10 minutes would be 17 minutes into this video, and it's 17 minutes into this video, a little past that. So we're going to look at the first test, and there you have it. It says one test, one line, so I am negative for COVID-19. It says right here, very clear. This is the first test. So I got to wait a few more minutes for the second test. And see what the second test says. So, plus I've been down in his attic, his basement, this basement now for 2 weeks. So there was COVID-19, I'd catch it, right? Or this other person would. perfect bacteria-infested environment. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on right now. Even though I smoke a lot of cigarettes, and stress, I don't think the stress is ever going to get better, because I don't think I'm ever going to stop smoking, just because the stress is through the roof. It's just too much. The stress is unbearable, and I can't even explain how many people are attacking me. I have to make a whole nother video that I can't even walk down the street. There's people that are always wanting to take a shot at me. I'm not kidding you. I ask a simple question where a certain item is, and they'll charge at me and play stupid to try to intimidate and scare me. It's all about control. And I can walk in the grocery stores, and I'm not kidding you. You can look how every single body there are working in teams like fucking piranhas, like fucking hyenas, like circling around me, like you could see their predatory behavior, and it's very disturbing. You can see the predatory. There's nothing good. They're in full riot gear, nearly full hidden riot gear. It's hidden, circling around me, like when they're intentionally standing in front of the item I'm there to pick up. I'm picking up the items that look expired, and there's like a week or two before it gets expired, and I know that when food, they purchase it and put it on a shelf, they intentionally put stuff on there that's good for, especially like sandwich ham, for like 2 or 3 months. So I put it in a freezer to freeze it so it'd be preserved. But I know they're doing that on purpose, but they intentionally have people stand in front of the item, just to bother me. But yeah, I was going to the grocery store, and I can't even explain how many people it's never. They're just so predatory. I'm walking on my way back, and I'm walking by a restaurant. There's people eating outside. This guy just starts bolts out of the fucking door like he's leaving the restaurant, but he like charges at me like this, and he like charges and then walks right next to me like he's going to his car. And it's I control you and I can intimidate you. We fight for Kenneth and Sarah Cooper and the gays and the whites, and to pounce on me. But it's very disturbing. I can never explain how bad this is. I'm literally sitting at the market. I'm not kidding you when this happens. When I first get my items, I go in there, say, oh wait, I'm gonna go look for a lighter, decide to buy some cigarettes, and this lady's acting very obnoxious. Transgender white lady, haircut like Sarah Cooper, and it's a transgender. You can just see the blazing hatred they have. They just want to control me. I tell you what to do. We're all against you. This is to intimidate and fear and make your life miserable. That's what I'm the target. That's how they treat, act, behave, and project at me. It is not normal. So I'm just ignoring it like I always do, but I know it's never pleasant, so I'll go over to the cigarette cabinet. I say, yeah, let me get those cigarettes. They don't have marbles or whatever. And the lady's just acting really stupid, and she gets real close to me, and I go, yeah, let me see that, and then, or let me get those cigarettes right there, or something like that. I don't remember exactly the conversation. And she goes, oh, which ones? And she intentionally hits my hand, like to make physical contact with me. And it's playing stupid, and it's the lady that stands at the self-check area that, stands at the little booth as they're watching everybody do the self-checks, but intentionally makes hand contact with me, and pretends and plays stupid, like doing this, like, well, I don't know, like I'm gonna play stupid. I'm gonna find a reason to be able to hit you, and so this only brings the stress through the roof even more, because I'm walking down the street and I get so agitated because I can't go to the police. And let me tell you, like when I first walked into the grocery store earlier today, they get a heavy set guy that's about Miguel's size big, And I kindly asked him, I said, hey, do you know where you carry lighters? And he's putting stuff on a shelf, up on a shelf, right? Because he's trying to play Jesus Christ bullshit. And he starts putting stuff on a shelf, and I'm to his right. And I'm just within the distance, like from here to this camera. He's like, do you know where I can get a lighter? I just want to get a lighter. And he goes, I asked him first. I said, do you work here? Because I wasn't sure, because he had his back toward against me or his side, and I couldn't see his name badge. And he goes, yes, I do. Like he's giving an order. And it's aggressive. It's like, I'm going to control you in fear. And so I go, well, I go, perfect. I said, oh, great. I'm looking for a lighter. You know where I can get a lighter? And he goes like this, like to charge, and gets real close to my face, and I have to step back and do this. Like I almost kind of step back like he wanted to strike me. And I step back like, you know, like in a stance where there may be striking that may happen. And to let him know that if he starts striking me, I'm going to strike him. You know, or not just strike him, but to step away. Like I'm doing this like in a stance, you know, to get away from the danger that he's presenting. And he goes, and he's behaving like Miguel. Then he tries to play retarded. He goes, yeah, then right over there. Yeah, we don't have the small ones, just the long ones over there. And he turns around and he goes back to work. But it's things like that you don't understand, that it's every single person that's wanting to take a shot at me. Though I leave the grocery store, and as I'm walking across the parking lot on the side of the building, there's no cars around. A car intentionally rides by me and slams on the gas, riding real fucking fast. You know, to scare me, like they're going to use the car as a weapon to try to hit me. So this is the second test. It's well over 10 minutes. One line, there's no two, so I'm also negative on this test. So there you have it. The library test, and it's the COVID at-home test. So there you have it. But those are the events that happened today. So I thought I'd make a video on that. Stress is it's unbearable. They're doing this on purpose because they know what it's doing to me. They know that every time the stress is just likely to me keep smoking cigarettes until I develop cancer, and that's projective mission is what they want. I'm telling you that when I walk to grocery stores and I'm going to these places, you can see the predatorial hyenas. You know, these fucking piranhas like around me, and they'll sometimes shout out things like to their kids or to something to direct it at me. And so they'll tell their kids to maybe do something, and then they'll turn around and like yell out, but they'll yell it out in my direction and then look over at the kids. Like, you better do what I tell you to do, otherwise you know what. So, you know, and that was earlier today when I walked to the first grocery store. Then I went across the other grocery store. But the first grocery store, I bought a couple fruits, and because they didn't have any of the ham, apparently, you know, even though it was this, you know, stop and shop area, so I had to go to Shaw's grocery store. So, but when I went there was an individual that he sort of yelled. So to make sure the individual's, you know, fairly built, large, almost kind of looking for a fight. And he starts yelling at his kids, and his kids are kind of go to the bathroom, and I'm already done shopping. I'm walking at the end of the registers, you know, the aisles where you already picked up the groceries, walking down, and he yells at his kids. He goes, "Get over here, girls!" And he's to yell, but when he yells it in my direction, like I tell you what the fuck to do, because ain't nobody can stop me, motherfucker. The police officers are on our side. The faggots here every night. And this is what they're doing. So, but he's wanting to do this, and then he's like talking to his kids, and you can see his kids kind of startled, right? But you know, whatever. You know, those are kids, right? They're getting to mess things, but understanding that it's to downplay me as a child. It's to say, I want to make sure Kenneth Cooper at the radio station and Sarah in that community, and the whites and their faggot movement and transgenders are the ones in charge and control.
but it's to always contaminate the environment mentally.
Where I am, I don't ever say anything. I just slowly walking. Don't even really make eye contact at all. Just keep walking straight and just ignore it. But that doesn't change the fact that somebody I know is intentionally wanting to engage at me. They want to take a shot at me. They want to project themselves as someone that apparently, since I'm in the public eye, they want to give their message a threat because they have no other means and ways to do it. And it's all these faggots and transgenders against me. That's the behavior. I couldn't explain this enough. You know, like, they always find excuses when I'm in an environment to then, like, do this something and, like, to intimidate. Or, like, when I was at the grocery store and intentionally make physical contact with me, to hit me. And goes like this. And then the lady starts acting real stupid and behave. And, you know, it's this little short, Sarah-looking transgender, disgusting, ugly-looking transgender, but understanding that this is what they're doing. Making physical contact to hit somebody like that was clearly intentional. But I didn't say anything, and I kind of went like this, like backed off, like, you know, because when the person hit my hand, they were pretending like they didn't know what was going on. They were just kind of giving expression. Like, you get close to somebody and like, oh, oops, and that's exactly what they were doing. But understanding that this is, not only this has happened in so many environments, it's every time I go to the grocery store, it's like that. Every single time I go to a gas station, it's like that. They're surrounding me like hyenas attacking a lion, a fucking tiger. They work in groups. You can see how they migrate, like in teams, like parasites. How they're all gay and transgender. They only protect and help themselves, and that's all against me. This was the same issue and problem when I was in my 20s. But I never knew about my mother getting $1 million house, the twins. I didn't know anything about it. I had a sister, Michaela, who's my sister. I didn't know any of that. And it was horrible. I mean, it was really bad in my work environment because I had no money. I should have never had a job over at Advanced Graphics. At Advanced Graphics at Rants Online, where Mike Standish is a privately owned company, like $30 million company he owns, privately owns. I can never explain to you that I should have never worked there, ever. They set me up and they put me there. That was the worst, because the behavior that Gary Gwynn was doing was extremely violently and very targeting toward me. This was, I'm going to take advantage of you because you're young, and I know other shit that's going on. I didn't know he was a prior resident worker, manager over at Standard Register until he got fired, apparently. I was told he got fired and then got a job over there, and then they sent me over there. So I don't know, and it's really fucked up. There was literally one sentence whenever I applied for that job on Craigslist. It says, Docutech operator needed. I still remember when I applied for that job. And I was, after my transplant, I was 25 years old. I was at the library in Carrollton. And I just happened to come across a Craigslist ad as I was looking for jobs. And there was just one sentence. It says, looking for Docutech operator at printing company. That's all it said, like a, cheesy, didn't look like this person. I don't know. I don't know if it was concealing or they just didn't know how to elaborate on a job position, but it didn't look like somebody was highly educated. So I just sent a resume just like I sent everybody a resume. And I got a call and it was over there. So I thought it was important for me to talk about that. Is that there's nobody to run to. There's no safe place in the United States. And they're just so predatorial because they know what I'm doing. You know what to do to somebody when you want to get rid of their life. You know how to sabotage them. I've been in circumstances, in really bad circumstances, but there is not a go-to person. You have to understand that I can't go to the police for any type of reason. I just have to pack up my bags and fucking live on the streets and go on the fucking run. get on the fucking bus, get on the fucking first plane, and get the fuck out of there. Because I can never go to the police because they're always turning the tables, and they're very vile against me. They know how to intimidate, threat, and you can see in their eyes and expressions, they don't give a fuck about my life. Like, everybody knows how police officers always engage with people. They don't care about human life. They just know they have to arrest people and send them sometimes to prison, and sometimes they have to shoot and pull out guns. They have to go on high-speed car chases. They have to do a lot of crazy shit. So they are already used to hatred and anger and frustration and control. When you put political Barack Obama and the president and all these homosexuals and transgenders wanting to do this, that's even more aggression that they want, because that's all that's there. But no matter, I can never go to them for any kind of reason. Never. It doesn't matter how polite. I can't. Because they're so vilely negative and want to do incarcerate. I don't know who to run to. So I always try to stay positive as I can. Just walk away negative as much as I can every fucking time. And I always, it always leaves me very, very frustrated and angry, very stressed, very, very stressed, because I can't focus on anything, because they're always, it's very racist. It's very racial. It is racist. Like I said in this other videos, I have come across, I think about 85% of homosexuals that I come across and transgenders have been full-blown racist. And I'm talking about fucking full-blown racist. Like, I'm not going to start naming names, but they were using racial slurs all the fucking time, and they were transgender. And there were transgenders, and they were making racial slurs. I'm not kidding you. Like, it would, but I come across gay guys all the time, of all cultures, racist, and I always found that to be very weird, because, the gay community is always rainbows and shit, and always, we always stick together, unite, all this bullshit. They're racist as a motherfucker, and they are, and, as much as they say they're not, the ones that are transgenders or gays that are adopting these kids that are not these kids, they're not adopting black kids. They're adopting white kids. They don't even adopt Mexican kids. They adopt only white kids. Why is that? Is a black kid or Mexican kid you adopted not good enough? Exactly. That sounds like a prejudice movement, because I guarantee you that there's a lot more Mexican and black kids that need to be adopted, that need to find a home to live in and have a family to be raised in, instead of living in orphanages and foster care systems where they just hop around to all these foster cares for, homes that invite these kids for 4 or 5 months, and then they get transported somewhere else and never have a mom and dad. So, but as long as everything is going on, I thought I'd make a video on this, because it's very predatory. I don't know what to do about it, because I don't have any money to give them, and I don't know what evaluation they're wanting the connection with the president, because many of them will behave like President Barack Obama and start behaving and talking and acting, and then I never met these people. They'll know my GPS location, and they'll run into the fucking stores, and they just want to seem to be able to think that the President of the United States looks like you, so you are the President of the United States, and he gave you direct orders to come spit in my face or do whatever the fuck it is you want to me, because you're doing it for American flag. And knowing that the police department doesn't want to do anything but be very vilely negative against me. So these electronic devices are shooting me everywhere. When I go to the grocery store, they're shooting me all the time. But like I said, I make a simple walk, 40 minutes one way, 40 minutes back, and I do that just to get a little exercise, get a little bit of fruit, kind of be active. So I didn't buy a scooter. I don't think I'll buy a scooter while I'm here, just so that I can do a little bit of walking. I'm not doing as much walking as I did prior, where I was carrying my backpack, walking for 3-4 hours a day, because they're not letting me. Otherwise I would. Like, I was walking to the grocery store, and what they do is they have an electronic device, and what they do, they can control the meter of amount of feces that starts pushing through my guts. And what they'll do is they'll turn it on at a slow rate. They'll turn it on at a slow rate, and it doesn't make me shit right away. They could turn it up, but they just turn it up enough so that when I'm walking, I can feel the feces gradually beat, and it's not because I have to take a shit naturally. It's because someone's pushing out the feces, and it becomes very difficult and very uncomfortable for me to walk as I feel that something's being lodged into my ass, because it is, and I need to take a shit. So I can't walk my distance, and it irritates me because I can't walk to the destination, a simple 40-minute walk. And they were doing this, and this is how they prevented me from getting the exercise that I desperately body needs to keep me healthy. And so when you do something like that, then they do it at the gym at times. And that's why I'm not allowed to lift weights, because if you're not allowing me to walk distances to get a lot of exercise, that's why. The more that I decline and deteriorate, the more sooner of death and disease, and you'll be able to eliminate me. And they see me, they behave, if I could put this in a better perspective and understanding, they behave like military. They behave like military forms as they're walking in locations in grocery stores and in areas where then it becomes like a military war. You ever seen riots? You ever seen riots? How people start bashing cars and fucking throwing, what do they call, alcohol, liquor bottles with a lighter, and then, throw it at a car and set a car on fire. You see how the people start behaving like all on the outsides of the skirts of these sidewalks, how they all behave? That's what they do to me. Like, they behave, and I'm walking, I'll walk across the street or something, and I'm always as polite as I can, right? I always try to press the buttons. Sometimes a lot of the fucking sidewalk signs, they don't fucking work at all, so it's safer for me to walk across the street in an area where there's no crosswalk because it's safer. A lot of intersections became very dangerous because there's more error and more places where I can get hit, where I'm not able to see a car intentionally wanting to make a turn and try to hit me, which has happened dozens of fucking times. Where I have to jump out of the way, and sometimes it's better for me to cross the street, but I'm always trying to be in safe environments. But I thought I'd make a video on this. Like, you can see the military sort of behavior. They think mentally, this is the enemy. Hector's the enemy against the president. The president has now given us orders to all attack him. We can do whatever we want to him in every little bits of ways that we can. Even if it's just a little bit. Remember, all it takes is somebody to very quickly scare, and then you go about your business. He didn't touch me to do anything, but it's the sense of control. It's a sense of intimidation. It's a sense of, if you do not let me do what I want to do to you, the gay community is out to get you. The police officers won't, and it becomes right. And they're not doing this. I'm talk is nice and polite in a soft tone when I can. Do you know where I can get this item, or whenever it is? And it's always like that. Or they'll point to a direction. He goes, "Yeah, it's over there," and they'll say shit like this, like, 4 days ago when I went to the dentist office. When I'm walking out of the dentist office after getting my dental exams done and explained again, I walk out, and as I'm walking out, they get this black girl that looks a lot like Patricia, right? Get her someone her size, black hair, sort of Mexican complexion. And as I'm walking out the door, follows me very closely, and this person wasn't even behind me. I can tell they're hiding behind a door or something, and they wait for me to walk out the door into the lobby area, and I don't see them anywhere. But as soon as I'm walking out, they then follow me very closely, and so, "Oh, thank you," and yells out at me, and I turn around like, what the fuck? But it's to tell you what to do, and it's to train you, it's to abuse you, and it's constantly like that. So there's so much of the cameras, you have no idea how much of the cameras that I'm not able to display in environments to show you about what's really happening. But other than that, the dental guy that was at the dentist office, he was really good. He seemed like a really good seemed like that he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's a dentist. He seemed to be very professional, very good, very clear, very good job. But understanding that there's always somebody else that I don't know wants to take a shot. Somebody else that they just want to say their expressions and they think that somehow it's going to reach out to the millions. Like, there's so many people that want to do that to me and don't understand the story. Like, I understand that there may be celebrities that are personally involved in my life. One of the people I think could be Mariah Carey. But I don't want to second guess things and start guessing because I really don't know the circumstances. Specifically because I met Michael Jackson. And because people like that and other people the straight community coming from women, they understand, especially someone like Mariah Carey, they know the public eye. That when you meet a celebrity of that magnitude, and there are top celebrities in this world, they know what it does to a person. Even if I'm not in music anymore, or they know that that's a contamination. Everyone's going to want to attack. That's why they raped my brother. 10 homosexual fucking men did that. And there was no protection, and it kept on going. That's why Frankie was locked up in his room and, solitary confinement prison type shit. And nobody did anything. But Michael Jackson bought my mother a house, and bought my mother a house. But anyway, so I thought I'd make a video. I do the best I can. I had my root canal, which I'm kind of nervous about, which they're going to have to completely drill holes in it. I don't know. They're going to do probably local anesthesia, which just numbs the area, and then get that taken care of. And I'm going to get that taken care of, but the tooth will finally be dead. It's still alive, but they'll kill the tooth, right? Because they have to. They'll put a filling, which is like the cement filling, and then a crown, which I'm not the professional, but it's a crown, and then they set it on there just to protect the tooth. And then there goes my tooth, but it'll be preserved, and I'll be able to chew. I'd rather have everything still intact, and the nerves won't be alive there anymore to the tooth. I won't be able to. So if there's ever any other problems, to my understanding, you just won't feel that nerves, and that just makes it that much more dangerous, which is maybe not a whole lot throughout my life, but it's still not an incline to better. It's still a decline. So, anyway, from the original, but September 18th, in about a week from now, I got a root canal to be completed. They're going to do it then. Then, when that's completed, when that root canal is completed, I go back to the other doctor, general dentist, take care of, he said 2 cavities. It's weird because they told me I had 10 cavities when I was in Dallas. They had 10 cavities. And apparently I only had 2. They said I had 10. I had 10. No, they said I only had 2 cavities. But I don't know. So at least that's not too bad. 2 cavities is not too bad at all. Everyone gets cavities. So I'm going to get these cavities taken care of. They're going to fill it, fix it, and I should be good. I hope one day, before the next 5 years, I can get braces to straighten out all my teeth. And I've always wanted braces my whole life. Or maybe not braces, but whatever it is that they use on their teeth to straighten the entire, so you have a really good smile, you have a really good straight row of teeth, bottom teeth, but I've never been able to afford, and I don't think I'll ever be able to afford any of that. Braces are a minimum of like $4,000 to $5,000 without insurance, and insurance never covers that. So I find that to be very difficult to be $4,000 to $5,000 for that, because the reality of the circumstances of having braces, it costs $4,000. It costs $2,000 to $2,500 when my brother Frankie got braces, and when I was like 10 years old. And I remember Frankie having braces when I was 14 to 15 years old. So I do know that in 30 years in the evolution in the dentistry world, I'm sure that they could have made a dentist, procedures where you can get braces for $1,000, at high cost without insurance, But I don't know. That's what they told me. So anyway, that's the video. I'll keep you posted and updates on what's going on and some other topics. I have to make some other videos, but my phone keeps decharging very fast.